Story of LUNIX. Wow. My friend Jamie came up to me, I didn't know him at the time, and just said, "Hey man, do you want to be a singer in my band?" And I was like, "Fuck, I'll give it a go, you know, I'm at music college." Yeah man, it took about 3 months to get a rehearsal in, like an audition, because the drummer Alex was currently away in Florida or something, I think. Yeah, and then it kept getting cancelled and I thought, this ain't happening. And then one day Jamie comes up and he's like, "Hey buddy, hey, you ready for tonight?" I'm like, "What? What do you mean?" He's like, "The audition." I'm like, "Tonight? Fuck. Okay, well, what do you want me to learn?" He's like, "Hallowed Be Thy Name, Iron Maiden, Dance to Death, and Pull Me Under Dream Theater." I'm like, fuck! Fuck! Remember the Beast, man. Oh, that was like my favourite. That and Dance to Death were my favourite 2 songs to sing when we used to do our sets, which were quite Maiden heavy, actually, so it's a good job that I did end up falling in love with Maiden, or it wouldn't have worked. I'm in this band now, and I wanna show my worth. I want to put something in, and I'm upstairs on the acoustic. They already gave me a load of demos to write vocals for and that, and I was like, oh cool, yeah, you know, I can just fucking do that. So I'm jamming. I think I was listening to Trivium at the time, Down with the Sky, and then that's how I that vibe. I love that intro to that song. I was thinking, I want to write something fucking like that, you know what I mean? And then that's literally just how To the Walls kind of came about. Cool. Well, thanks for listening, and hope you've enjoyed it. I was Mark from LUNIX. Cheers, guys. If anyone is looking, by the way, singer for hire. Right? Singer for hire. Just gonna put that out there. Right? Yeah. Cheers then. Bye.
I got into metal primarily through one very particular song and one very particular moment. I had a friend that showed me Iron Maiden, The Trooper. I fell in love with Iron Maiden straight away because of the vocals primarily, and I was just so blown away that someone could sing that high and with that much velocity. I'd never heard singing like it.
You'll take my life, but I'll take yours too. You fire musket, but I'll run you through. So
like I say, Bruce Dickinson, very much for me, is kind of the catalyst that made me enjoy that type of singing. I loved the theatrics behind it, and I just loved how high it could go.
Everyone has their answer.
A lot of the time when people mention my songs, or if they hear a Twisted Illusion song for the first time, it's usually people trying to put some sort of influence in it, and it's usually through the vocal a lot of the time.
Say the truth, I should hear. Sherry, what we stand. Spotted without any
You know, no one really tries to sing that way that much anymore. You get the odd person in the underground, you get the odd, you know, European kind of power metal band that goes for that style, but largely in the mainstream, it's, you know, it's seen as over singing, it's seen as a bit drab and a bit 80s and a bit dated, but to me it's just such a dramatic way of singing.
feel the time. I don't know where I'm going. Everyone has their answer. Cyber truth I should hear. A sharing of wisdom. Spouted without any
Hey guys, it's Willie from Willie and the Bandits.
Well, I got my world vision as the miracle starts to fade. Ain't there another proposition? We do it this way. Make love. Make love.
Yeah, we sort of play roots rock, like progressive blues roots music. It's a mixture of sort of like funk, rock and roll, like groovy, sort of a bit like John Butler Trio, but also a bit like Rival Sons and Led Zeppelin. It's quite heavy at points. It's also quite psychedelic, and it's also very groovy. There's a big range of music and follows like a full spectrum of sound, and that's what we like to do.
Politicians, they choose an eye for an eye. Not war. Make love.
Big influences in my career so far, yeah, the classics like Pink Floyd, Led Zeppelin, Jimi Hendrix, and more modern sort of stuff like John Butler Trio, Ben Harper, Dave Matthews Band, all those sort of guys. So yeah, you know, we just love being on the road, we love playing music. It all started for us very organically. We sort of were like knocking around in Cornwall and really not enjoying working too much, and doing, you know, not the greatest of interest in, not the most creative job. So we decided to sort of sack them off, buy a van, and just tour up and down the coast from North Devon, Croy, right down to Penzance, pretty much every weekend. And we just chucked a load of guitars, a load of drums, a load of surfboards in the back of the van, and that was us for 6 years, doing that, living the dream. It was great. And then
Put ourselves in other people's shoes. And we use fake statistics and unfounded truth. I'm around the streets, I'm begging please. How can we live Let these children, let them bleed.
Interest outside of Cornwall and Devon, and people started to, you know, want us to go further afield, and started going into Europe, and we got a manager and an agent, and then we got put onto big tour supports with Deep Purple and Status Quo, and it just sort of tumbled from there. So I mean, we only really play 1 or 2 shows back in Cornwall now, but always really keen to get in the water. There's 3 of us in the band who surf. Myself, Harry, there's Nuki, the bass player, he surfs, and Finn, the drummer, he's from Braunton, North Devon, he surfs as well. It's been quite a sort of, when we put this new lineup of the band together, it wasn't, I suppose, the most important thing, but it was something I definitely was hoping would happen, and if we could have, you know, a collective of surfers in the band, and it works really well, because I think you've got that similar sort of mentality.
I am criticized, scrutinized, why I should search. Spent so many days excavating my hurt. I'm a lonesome child who never knew his blood. Spent so many nights in bed.
I think there's a sort of connection with the ocean and living by the sea, and also myself, I never made that move to London. I always wanted to stay by the ocean, because it's sort of, you know, not just the surfing, the paddleboarding, I've got kids, growing up on the sea, it's very important to me to have that sort of escape and that way of life.
Of the man I chase, I believe in angels, do they watch us as we sleep? And I believe in redemption to hide my insecurity.
Hi, H from Acid Rain. Hello, here to talk to you about Acid Rain. How you formed your band? Well, how did I form the band? It was a classic case of at school. We just formed it at school, bunch of schoolmates, all love thrash. I was the only original member. I started in a band and I got Gaz in after about 2 rehearsals, and the band started going in a heavier direction straight away. First person to be in Acid Rain who didn't go to the same school was Kev, and Kev joined the band 2 days before Music Nations rang us up to say that they were going to sign us. So yeah, there you go. Tomorrow will be fine. Take care of the minutes and all of the time. Any two face who can live it up. My biggest influence was going to the first ever show of a band who were my first love in music, which was Marillion, and Fish, the singer, whose lyrics I loved, because to me it was like, wow, great, these are like serious lyrics with, you know, a huge vocabulary, and I love words, and I just remember thinking, wow, I can, you know, this means anything goes, basically. What is it about heavy metal that drew you in, was the first question. I honestly don't know. I wish I could say. To this day, it's still a mystery. I think, and I'm now going to contradict that by saying, I think it's the energy in the music, the adrenaline. It just gave me a buzz that I hadn't experienced before in my life, and I just wanted more. It was like discovering, you know, a drug which I'm still in love with today, at the age of 49.
So a couple of years ago, I started doing Tool covers. Really, it was kind of an experiment. I had been playing a lot of bands, and I decided to kind of focus on acoustic guitar and find my own style. And one of the ways I thought about doing is thinking about my influences, the music I liked, and try to do that on the acoustic guitar. It was kind of, I started sort of like research to see if I could make that kind of music on the acoustic guitar. So I got the idea to do 46 and 2 and Sober, and I did those two first. With no expectations, just kind of trying it out, see if it would work. I didn't really know. And I put this on YouTube. And actually, the reaction at first was, I mean, some people liked it, but it didn't get that much traction at first. But I was very happy with them, and I got the idea to do a few more. I did Jimmy, and I did Lateralis. And Lateralis, for example, was one at first I thought wouldn't work. But the more I tried it, the more it came out, and in the end, it came out pretty good too. I think that's the one that really started getting people's attention. Then I did Write It Too, which is a very special song. I mean, in general, I like just about every Tool song. That one is one of those with a very strong message, and a very specific message too. And the song itself, the music also has it kind of has all those elements that I like about Tool. You know, the melody, it has a more kind of thoughtful to the sound. You know, it's not all just heavy. It also has a heavy part. It has those rhythmic elements they have, and for that album they were really getting to some really complex polyrhythms, so that was a real challenge to do on the guitar. Seems to reach people. I think it's because the song itself obviously did in the first place, and yeah, it's just a really special song, and I tend to do that with all the songs, but I really tried to capture the essence of the melody, the phrasing, and that made me really happy when I read in the comments. Like the other day I got a comment saying it's like he has a little Maynard singing in his guitar. So you know, it really means a lot that people notice that, because I really tried, even though I'm not singing the song, even though I'm not saying the lyrics, I'm trying to transmit that message through my playing.
I'm Otto, so Gallows Pole. First and foremostly, Gallows Pole is an angry song, and it was quite an important song for me because I had hitherto been playing quite folky, tame and restraint music, and Gallows Pole is essentially a metal song. In terms of the theme, it's really about the games that people play in relationships, which is why in the Gallows Pole video, which was directed by very talented Nick Gordon, you see a lot of images of cards and spinners and tops and dice. So the imagery running through the video is basically to sort of highlight how a lot of people see relationships as games.
And I would be your sentry now, and my vigil would damn all of your down.
The other thing thematically about the song, of course, is the Gallows Pole itself. That's really about when a relationship comes to an end. And usually what happens in relationships is people assign blame. People like to know whose fault it was that the relationship ended. And that's where the Gallows Pole comes in. So the character in the lyric actually says, you say that I'm the one who wants to see you cry, but I'm the one with the red eyes. You say I'm the one that wants to see you fall, but you are the one with the gallows pole, basically meaning the victim of the relationship who had the blame pinned on him for the demise of that relationship, realising that it's actually the other person's fault, and they are the one with the gallows pole. They've essentially perpetrated the demise of that relationship. So thematically, that's what the tune is about. So when I play this live, I tend to play the bluesy version, which is slower, more emphasis on the kind of major sevenths, and more emphasis on those kind of low drony notes. So I'm going to play it for you now.
Someone to love, someone to bend, and I will be your sentry now, and my vigil will dim all of your doubts. Whether I'll be coming and I'll be going back, you'll be on approach, you'll be on attack. Whether I'll be coming and I'll be going back, you got the drop on love. You say that I am the one who wants to see you cry, but I'm the one with the red eyes, yeah. You say that I am the one who wants to see you fall, but now baby you are the one with the gallows pole. Yeah, you could treat me like a slave, someone to use and subjugate, and I will tolerate that pain if I only thought your words were in vain. Whether I'll be coming and I'll be going back, you'll be on reproach, you'll be on attack. Whether I'll be coming and I'll be going back, you got the drop on love. You say that I am the one who wants to see you cry, but I'm the one with the red eyes, yeah. You say that I am the one who wants to see you fall, but now baby you are the one with the gallows pole, yeah.
Okay, yeah, so next, Shelter. Okay, so Ray, the vocalist, him there, he's from loads of different bands, lots of really good hardcore bands from back in the day, which I think we'll get through to in a bit. Let's have a look if I got some. Yeah, so I think we'll probably have a bit of Youth of Today in a bit. So Ray is from Youth of Today originally, so there he is there in the middle. Oh, there he is. It's called Ray of Today. So he started out in Youth of Today, which were a really angry hardcore band, and then he became like a Hare Krishna or something. He sort of discovered like a religious meaning in life, which is cool. So he went on to make a band called Shelter, and since then he's done lots of other things as well. But Shelter were brilliant, and so I'm going to play a song by them. This is called Civilized Man. So yeah, this is Shelter, Civilized Man.
Man, you don't sympathize me, eat or steal the cows, they just don't personalize, they just don't bother.
tuneful. I like that.
Emotions run high, where feelings run deep. Open some build-up places, born from a fever seed.
So for me, there's something quite cathartic, therapeutic about heavy metal. There's something about, you know, a big riff, epic solo, or some, you know, big build-up that, you know, just is quite primal. You know, it's quite a release.
Not from the needs of the weak. And I've tried to forget what I've seen.
So my dad was a guitarist, still is, and so I grew up listening to things like Hendrix and Led Zeppelin, Deep Purple. My uncle introduced me to Motorhead and Metallica, and it kind of, you know, went from there. So influences, I think as a musician you're pretty much influenced by you know, everything or anything really. It doesn't have just to be music, but I suppose influential albums for me, stuff like yeah, as a bass player, sort of King's X, you know, Doug Pinnick's sound is massive, you know, his groove and the enormity of his sound is, you know, something that, you know, was kind of an eye-opener, well, ear-opener I suppose. Justin Chancellor from Tool again, you know, he's a great musician, and some sort of subtleties in his playing, you know, it goes beyond just playing rhythm, you know, incorporates sort of melodic playing. So for me as a bass player, you know, very influential.
From a grave, my hope is a misplaced in me. My wasted an endless grave. Will grow
Favourite albums? Dream Theater Awake is, you know, I know it's old, it's one of the first albums I bought. It's technical, I suppose, you know, Dream Theater were my first sort of real proggy band, and so yeah, it's fairly sort of sentimental. Mastodon, Crack the Sky, big fan of Mastodon, you know, just epic, you know, huge riffs, sort of light and shade, you know, great band, love them. Extreme, Pornograffiti, just an amazing album, but it was the first album I ever owned, so yeah, it's pretty special to me.
Not from the needs of the weak. And I've tried to forget what I've seen. Now rise when the time's good for me.
Hey, so my name's Cormac Neeson, and just gonna, I suppose, tell you a few things with regards to where my music career began, and I suppose had evolved as it did. Started singing in my first band when I was 14, basically down to the fact that whenever I turned up in my friend's garage there were already 3 guitar players, and I had a keyboard under my arm, but turns out I wasn't very good at it, so I nominated myself to sing Today by the Smashing Pumpkins, and it wasn't completely terrible, so the guys were like, well, you'll do for now, kind of thing, you know.
Every day is so hard to see. Maybe life shouldn't be such a struggle. Oh, it's so hard to see.
And it just developed from there, you know. We started to get a few gigs, so I probably put a little bit more pressure on myself to evolve as a singer and develop my vocal style. Even though at that age, you know, you're not entirely aware that there is such a thing as a vocal style, but played in a number of different venues around my hometown of Newcastle, a few other surrounding satellite towns, and mostly covers, threw in the odd original one. Stuff like would have done Roadhouse Blues, and trying to think of other songs that we did, like loads of kind of good classic rock stuff, Smoke in the Water, and All Right Now, and all the standards, you know. And yeah, got kicked out of that band. Just kind of approaching the end of school, and then went away to America for that summer with the notion in my head that I never wanted to be in a band ever again. And when I came home, my mum picked me up from the airport and told me there had been 2 guys phoning the house all summer regarding me possibly singing in their band, a band called Red House. And turns out those 2 guys were a guitar player called Paul Mahan and a bass player called Mickey Waters, who obviously are now my brothers in the Answer. And yeah, we hooked up, started playing a bunch of covers again, same kind of curve to it, but there was something different about these guys. They took it a lot more seriously, a lot more focused, a lot more time spent trying to develop the craft of writing original material.
Oh, it's so hard to see. Oh, it's so hard to see. Oh, it's so hard to see. Yeah.
Yeah, from there, we switched out our drummer, got a guy called James Heatley in, and we became the Answer. And I suppose that's where, you know, we properly kind of honed our craft as a band, as an ensemble, and started writing some pretty decent songs, some not so decent, and some songs that if you cut a lot of the kind of fat off it, you would have had a really good song in there, you know. I think part of the art of this business is being able to get it all out there, but then knowing where the actual power of the song lies. And yeah, we got into the studio. We used to save every penny we made on gigs and put it in studio time to make various kind of self-funded EPs. And I think it was the 3rd one we made, Come On Free Me it was called, recorded with Neil Calderwood, up near Maharfelt, and we sent that away, as we did with the previous couple, to a load of different contacts, record companies, management companies, and thankfully a manager picked us up in London, started setting up a bunch of showcase gigs, and we would fill up our navy blue kind of 15-year-old Ford Transit van, which we named Sweet Judy Blue Eyes, I do recall, and used to drive that van the whole way from our doors up here in Northern Ireland down to get the ferry in Dublin, in Dunleary, across to Wales, and the whole way down to London. So you're kind of starting at 4 AM and arriving in London maybe 10 or 11 o'clock that night, you know. So it was a well-deserved beer by the time we pulled on to Kensington High Street. And yeah, that was kind of, I suppose, initially our big break, you know, because we were able to, I always felt that if we were given the right platform to get up and show people what we could do, then we would do exactly that. But it's kind of tough to find an outlet to create that platform for yourself in Northern Ireland, especially. I suppose that's what, over 10 years ago now, whenever the music scene was a little more local, if you like. And but we did it, you know, and we impressed a few people, and we got a record deal and started getting some decent tours, some decent support slots with bands like Alter Bridge, Deep Purple, Ash as well. And just slowly but surely started to make a name for ourselves, you know, and we scored the AC/DC World Tour, and a lot of stuff then happened off the back of that. And yeah, we continue to fight the good fight to this day, you know. We're currently writing our 7th record, so something I'm very proud of is the volume of work that we've got out there, you know, because that's the stuff that's gonna hopefully last a lot longer than you are, you know. Those songs are always going to be out there in the world, in the universe, and we've got a very high level of quality control on the answer, so there's no real fillers anywhere in our 6 albums. We're not going to start now by any means.
Hi, so my name's Alex Green. I'm in the band The Crooked 45. We're a UK punk rock band from Reading area. I've been a musician and touring for about, I don't know, 12 years now, maybe a bit longer. I started off in a band called the Arusha Record, which was a tech metal band. Based in Reading, there were a lot of good bands from that area. Silosis, Atrophy, Malefis, Exit 10, to name a few. Really good local scene. And yeah, and I toured around for about 6-7 years in that band. We got to do some really cool stuff, play with some great bands. I then went on to play in another band called Attention Thieves. We, you know, got into the rock charts and got to play like Reading Leeds Festival on Radio 1 a fair bit, and I did that for about probably another 5-6 years. I'm now in a band called The Crooked 45, and it's very much focused on politics, lyrically it's very politically aligned with our views.
Living life through a screen, left with a head full of doubt. We prostitute our youth, exploit the data, sell them out. I don't need you to validate me. Have you got something to stand for?
Out there, it's fun. It's with one of the guys, James, who's in Attention Fees with me, and another guy called Sam Paris, who's a drummer, singer, and a good songwriter as well. It's just a free piece, and we're putting some stuff out now. It seems to be going well.
Oh, I know they've never felt so low, and I know it's starting to show. Oh, I know they've never felt so low. Future's gonna straighten knowledge from followers.
But I wouldn't change doing all the things I've got to do to play in front of, you know, thousands and thousands of people, and experience some of the things I've done, and travel the world, and meet some incredible like-minded people. Some not so like-minded, but I've met some amazing people from doing music, and friends for life. I never would change it, but people should be aware, I think, of the sacrifices and the consequences. And I've had a lot of people, you know, die, I've known in the music industry, of either suicide, the pressures of it, maybe the lifestyle. Then a lot of people died for health reasons as well. That I've, not a lot of people, but I've known a fair few people that have. And yeah, I think people just should understand what they're getting into if they want to be a rock star, so to speak.
Bit of Pennywise, okay. So this is their second official album. I'm going to play something off this. They are again just. I mean, they in '94ish when I saw them. They were probably the fastest of the punk bands I'd seen, but they were tuneful. So it was like an onslaught of rhythm. The rhythm section was super tight. The guitar was like proper fuzzed out, but the rhythm section was just driving, and the vocals were quick, but the kind of like sort of like a high pitched, almost like a singing style rather than angry shouty style. So it kind of resonated with me in a different way, because it was not something that I was used to, but the energy was there, and so to me they kind of stood out a little bit, but it took me down a different path then. So my sort of the punk stuff I listened to at the time was raw, heavy, really shouty, and then all of a sudden Pennywise came along and they were a bit more like, hey, let's sing songs, and I was like, oh, okay. So then I started getting into like NoFX and Propaganda, who I'll play a song by in a minute, and things like that. So they kind of skate punk, I guess they called it, but it wasn't that shit skate punk that they have now. I don't even know what that is now. It's just shit. But yeah, so this is a good one. So what I'm going to play is let's see. I'll play City is Burning. Okay, so I'm going to do City is Burning by Pennywise.
Reflects tonight, an ugliness showing an animal instinct, a twisted way to wrong or right. Who knew how many dead before the sun comes to rise? And lock your doors and close your eyes. Sit back and you watch TV, but pop grows outside. Lock your doors and shut off your mind, while you are safe inside the city and burning tonight. Blinding light burning the sky. A mass of shadows dark and usually hide. Animals out of the cage, who will burn their environment without any shame. Lock your doors and close your eyes. Sit back and you watch TV while the bomb grows outside. Lock your doors and shut off your mind, while you are safe inside the city and burn tonight.
That song was basically a direct reply to the April 29th 1994, which was the date that the LA riots started, which was a reaction to the acquittal for the police against the Rodney King beating. So Rodney King, black guy driving home, gets pulled over by a load of police, and they basically say that he's resisting arrest, and they just beat him to death. The whole thing was captured on film. They went to court, they got acquitted, and as a result, the whole of LA basically got burned to the ground. There were Florence and Normandy was the main intersection where it all went off. There was obviously looting, killing, stabbings, everything. It was just brutal. But there was a white guy whose name I don't remember. I wonder if I can find it quickly. But anyway, so the white guy a truck driver driving home as part of the driving through the riots, got stuck on the intersection. He got surrounded by a load of the looters and rioters. They dragged him out of his lorry and then beat him half to death on the side of the road. This was being filmed by the police helicopter and the journalists. There was one point they picked up a massive rock, threw it on this guy's head, caved his head in, and then a black guy then comes along and stands between the other black guys to try and help the white guy get into his lorry to get off. It's a horrible situation, awful times, and all because these dickish American fucking cops with their gung-ho, like super macho fucking attitudes, racist bastards, beat Rodney King. Poor guy, defenseless guy, driving home from wherever, probably work. Yeah, 4 officers acquitted for his murder, which was not televised, but caught on camera. The evidence was there. So a lot of bands back then, very political bands, wrote very political songs in reaction really to the corruption that they faced in America at the time, which was just appalling. So, but anyway, moving on.
So you want the story of how Lawnmower Death started. So my reckoning's 1987, I think is when the band first started. I think what happened was, like we all did back then, we all read Kerrang. And in Kerrang there was an advert for a tour. And it was for this band, Lawnmower Death. And it got this picture of this complete lunatic in the picture. It looked insane. And he got a demo out and he was doing a tour and he happened to be playing Mansfield. And we lived near Mansfield. And we thought, well, look at this, we're having some of this. This is going to be amazing. It's chaos. It's our kind of thing. Got to go and see Lawnmower Death. And never heard of the place he was playing, but we were going to find it and go. And then basically the following week, the whole tour cancelled. Because in the words of Mr. Flymo, whose advert it was, he couldn't find anybody rabid enough to thrash with it. So he cancelled the tour and so on. And actually the truth was, it was this completely made up band by some complete idiot called Mr. Flymo, who was so pissed off because he was in a band called Scrawl that, the press wouldn't write anything about Scrawl. So he came up with this fictitious band, Lawnmower Death, see if anybody would write about it, and they did. And actually the truth was Scrawl were quite good. They were a bit like Merciful Fate and Priest and that kind of stuff. They're like local band, couldn't get arrested in a phone box outside of Mansfield. but they were all right. And bizarrely, Chris Flint, Mr. Flymo, was quite an angry young man back then, and used to be quite stampy-footed. And that's kind of how this lawnmower thing came about. So what had happened was he'd made a demo, a lot less bother than of a demo, in his bedroom, on his own, just kicking stuff. It's an absolute, if you've ever heard it, you should track it down. It's kind of first Voivod album, if you slowed it down to half speed. It's just insane. And he made this demo, and he'd made this fictitious tour, and basically got loads of interest, loads of people writing to him. And he just shit himself. He just thought everybody was going to hunt him down because it was all a lie. And he had to send them demos, and he had to cancel all the tour dates. So what happened was, because we were all going to Rock City, we were like Friday night Rock City boys, and that's when we knew all the Sabbath boys. Sabbath had just got started at that point. And that's how we got to know Andy Coppin at Download. He was the DJ there, and Rock City was a really important place. Mid-80s, particularly on a Friday night. If bands were touring, they'd turn up there. Everybody wanted to travel up from London and Leicester. So it was this melting pot of everybody getting to start to know everybody and so on. And because we were there and because we knew the Sabbath boys, Skid from Sabbath knew who Chris Flint was, because he was just a gig goer. He went to everybody's gigs. So we got told who he was. And it was all basically Skip from Sabbath's fault. He was the one who found it. So all we knew was he was called Chris Flint and he lived somewhere near Mansfield. So we did what you did back then, no internet kids and all that. We got a phone directory out and we went through every single Flint in the phone directory, phoning them up until somebody answered the phone and we said, does Chris Flint live there? And he said, what, you want to speak to that miserable bugger? And put him on, and such was his dad. So that's how we got to meet Chris Flint, and we said, look, seen the adverts, love the idea, think you're completely off it. Do you want to come around our house and play Motorhead songs? Which is what he did. And he turned up at my mum and dad's house, God bless him. And we played Kill by Death for about 6 hours in my mum and dad's dining room. And we were shit. But we thought we were shit enough to be in a band called Lawnmower Death. And that's how it started. And the truth is, we did a gig within about 4 weeks. And we got a record deal in 6 weeks. So anybody who says the music industry is difficult, stop crying about it. Dead easy. Apparently, or it was back then anyway, wasn't it? And that was it. That's how Lawnmower started, in a very, very long nutshell. It's quite a strange thing, isn't it? I think that's the joy of metal, that's the joy of rock and punk and stuff like that. You get into these kind of scenes, you don't tend to go away. I think you're a little bit potty if you do. You tend to get into this, and it gives you all your friends, it gives you your wives and your kids and your girlfriends, and it forms those kind of longevity partnerships, doesn't it? Unfortunately, I've been around this band for, I say unfortunately, probably fortunately, but I've known those boys 40 years now, so that's ridiculous actually. So I guess we've tolerated each other for that long, but there you go. So there you go, the history of Lawnmower Death.